The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Thursday, September 18th, 2021. What do you do when the leaders of your country are the irrational actors, the one that you have to take in consideration when there are major decisions to be made for consideration, like nuclear weapons? Let's discuss that today, along with all of the news that is so important to our everyday lives. Up first, On the Clock with Georgia Ford. Let's begin with the conversation that I started at the beginning of the show, the conversation about what happens when someone like Donald Trump has access to the nuclear weapons. And this has become an important issue right now. It has become an important issue because it has come up as it pertains to U.S. General Mark Milley's office. U.S. General Mark Milley has been accused of secretly calling his Chinese counterpart in order to prevent potential nuclear disaster because of the threat that Donald Trump posed while he was the president of the United States. The conversation came up to support with the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki. The question came up about it because if it is true, the allegations really border along the lines of treason, but also it makes sense when you have to take in consideration the irrational actor that is Donald Trump. Let's take a listen in to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
The Office of America's top general says there were no secret calls to China over concerns about former President Donald Trump. That's after excerpts from a new book that claims General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, twice called a Chinese general to say the United States was stable and was not going to attack. And if there were to be an attack, Milley would alert him ahead of time. The excerpts were reported by the Washington Post on Tuesday. A spokesman for Milley said in a statement that all calls from the general are staffed, coordinated, and communicated with the Department of Defense. President Joe Biden on Wednesday was unwavering on Milley's leadership.
I have great confidence in General Milley.
The book, titled Peril, is by journalists Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, who said they relied on interviews with 200 sources. It's due out next week. In an interview with Newsmax Tuesday, Trump, who named Milley to the top military post in 2018, called the story fabricated, but said if it is true, it's treasonous.
If it is actually true, which is hard to believe, that he would have called China and done these things and was willing to advise them of an attack or in advance of an attack, that's treason.
Republican Senator Marco Rubio called on Biden, a Democrat, to fire Milley immediately. Congressional aides told Reuters that Rubio's call for Milley's ouster had little support among Senate Democrats.
I can't speak to the former president's experience with him or the former president's views of him. But this current president, who follows the Constitution, who's not fomenting an insurrection, who follows the rule of law, has complete confidence in Chairman Milley and him continuing to serve in his role.
So, Georgia, this is it's fascinating for me because I've studied international relations and nuclear deterrence, and I always really was concerned about the irrational actor that Donald Trump was as president, as commander in chief, and still is. But there is obviously the underlying problem that you have someone so high ranking in the military who allegedly, and of course, this is coming out in Bob Woodward's upcoming book, allegedly had back channel communications with China, I guess, to stave off disaster. I simply don't know what it is about this moment that has us in a bind. We are really and sincerely in a bind because we have a level of leadership, or rather we have a group of people who are able to access the highest levels of power in this country and be in a position to actually utilize our nuclear weapons, so much so that Chairman Tilley allegedly had to create a back channel communication with China. What are your thoughts to support? Okay, we're still having audio problems with Sister Ford on my end for sure. An audience, I'm not sure if you're hearing her, but just in case, we want to continue on with the coverage while we work out her technical difficulties. But that is what I'm seeing at this juncture. We have the threat is not over. And I think that's the critical part. As I listen to Jen Psaki speak with a level of confidence as it pertains to the current president, I think the question that we should ask is what happens if we get another president in the form and the fashion of Donald Trump? That is a particular threat that is real. I mean, if you consider the possibilities of a President Tom Cotton, the possibilities of a President Josh Hawley, if you consider those possibilities to support, it really is kind of sobering to realize that Trumpism is not gone. And while Press Secretary Jen Psaki really has this confidence in Joe Biden to be responsible with nuclear weapons, what happens when we get another Donald Trump in power?
And here's the thing with nuclear weapons. I just have always felt like they give these leaders too much power. To be destructive, not only to other nations, but to their own. I mean, when you have in a closet somewhere these weapons of mass destruction that are capable of not only harming entire cities and countries, but then also think about the damage that causes to our environment. Right. And so it just feels like, why at this point should anybody have these types of weapons? It's too much power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and as you study it, like the reality of it is while we do pursue as a nation, we pursue the idea of non-proliferation. The reality of it is that we are a part of the equation that keeps this planet on the razor's edge of mutually assured destruction. And so absolutely is the case. What you're saying is that this is too much power to have in the hands of a single individual, especially when that individual can be the irrational actor that is Donald Trump. Now, whether or not this is treason, whether or not it actually even happened, right? It's being repudiated. It's being disputed. Donald Trump is even disputing it. I think, though, the fact that Donald Trump is disputing it so badly or so vehemently is because of how it reflects on him as the irrational commander in chief, the one that the Joint Chief of Staff had to take precautions to ensure that the man-child that was -45 did not end humanity in a temper tantrum, leaving.
Well, and let me ask you this, Ben. In what case does it make sense for a country to use a nuclear weapon? Like at what point do you sit there to yourself and say, yeah, this is a justified time to deploy a missile that could kill an entire city?
Yeah.
At what point is a good point to use that?
You know, if the aliens that are invading us have made it clear that they are belligerent and they want war, then perhaps. But short of that, the issues that have led to us arming ourselves to the teeth, to the tune of being able to destroy humanity 10 times over, if not 100 times over, that did not come because of an existential threat. It became because of the greed that drives this system. So the direct answer to your question is there is no reason to use it that we have encountered thus far. Everything else is in science fiction.
Yeah. Well, and I know that you're going to go deeper on this issue a bit later, but before our time is up, I do want to give folks an update from Minnesota. The the conviction of a former Minnesota officer has actually been overturned. This happened in the Supreme Court yesterday. Some of you guys may have been following, even before George Floyd, there was a woman by the name of Justine Ruszczyk who was killed in 2017. She was an Australian woman. This did cause international outrage, this incident that happened in 2017. She was killed by a Somali American officer by the name of Mohammed Noor. Now, he was convicted on second-degree manslaughter. He was also convicted on third-degree murder. But that third-degree murder, that more severe charge, which ultimately resulted in him getting that 12-year sentence, that's been overturned. So now he's got to go back in for sentencing to be resentenced. I've spoken with legal experts here who are saying that because that more severe charge has been overturned, and he's only convicted now of second-degree manslaughter, he could be released as soon as October. And the reason why it's so significant to pay attention to this case, if you guys followed along with the Derek Chauvin trial, this was the case that prosecutors cited frequently in trying to lay the foundation and to use it as a legal precedent for why they could charge Derek Chauvin also with third-degree murder. And so now that this third-degree charge has been overturned, it absolutely will impact Chauvin's case, because Chauvin, the day he was convicted, the day he was sentenced, he filed appeals. And so he currently has appeals pending specifically on that third-degree charge. And so if this Mohammed Noor case was the legal precedent for justifying why they should be able to charge Derek Chauvin with third degree, now there is no basis. So legal experts are anticipating that since this one case has been overturned, Chauvin will likely win his appeal against that third degree charge. Now for Chauvin, because he had so many other charges, it's going to impact his sentencing differently, but it definitely could mean he could have a shorter sentence.
Wow. I want to make sure I'm hearing it. So I do remember the story of the young Australian woman who was killed and the officer who was sentenced. And you're saying that his sentencing, or rather his third degree charge, is what has been overturned. And that charge specifically was the precedent that was used for the same third degree charge as Chauvin.
That's
and because
right.
one was overturned, his stands a good chance of being Chauvin's stands a chance of being overturned.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. And so while, reporting on it, I've had a lot of people say, oh, they're two totally different cases. But the thing is, in court, the way that the courts work is usually the prosecution team, they will use previous court cases to lay a foundation, to set a legal precedent for what has already been done. And so now that legal precedent that was used is gone. And also remember, the third degree murder charge for Chauvin was not even reattached to his charges until the day that jury selection started. The prosecution team was fighting all the way up to the day jury selection started to try to get that third degree charge added, because it was there at the very beginning when he was charged, then it was removed, and then they had to appeal to the Supreme Court to have that charge reattached to his case. And they did win their appeal based on Noor's case. That was the legal precedent. So although these are two very different situations, what we're not saying is that these situations are the same. But from a legal standpoint, Noor was the foundation to charge Chauvin with third degree. So now that conviction's been overturned, there's no legal foundation for charging Chauvin with third degree. And they did discuss that as a possibility. There was times where the defense attorney went before Judge Cahill and he said, do you know that Noor's case is currently being appealed? And if it was overturned, what implication would that have on this case? And they decided to move forward regardless, I guess because they didn't think it'd be overturned. But here we are. It's been overturned.
Wow. Noor
could be out instead of serving 12 years. He's been in jail 2 years. He could be out as early as October. And so now we're looking at Chauvin's 22.5-year sentence saying, well, if his most severe charge is overturned, then what does that mean for his sentence?
Wow.
His sentence could be drastically reduced also.
Mm. This is going to cause, this is going to be a problem because we're not done getting justice for George Floyd. And if in the case of the pursuit, during the pursuit of justice, this happens, the people are going to have something to say about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't see anybody who felt that 22 and a half years was severe enough.
Right.
And to think if you take 22 and a half years and you start to chip away at that, which we already know was going to be chipped away at because of good behavior and things like that. But if you start to chip away at that, I don't know, 5 or 10 years reduced, I definitely think that you will see a response from the community. But this further reiterates the way that people complain about our criminal justice system. That's right. And the way that it continues to fail Black people and the way that it continues to devalue Black life.
Right. That's exactly right. Because there's so many angles to this. And one of them that we haven't talked about in the context of this conversation, but is the speed with which our sister who was killed in the case, the Australian journalist, I believe, who was killed, she was able to get justice.
Yeah.
And the dynamics of it are obviously screaming out loud to us. But even in the case of that complication, we're still faced with the grimmest of realities that Derek Chauvin may possibly have a reduced sentence, when you're right, Georgia, 22 and a half years was woefully insufficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, turning quick here before we're out of time, in Philadelphia, there has been a $2 million settlement from the city to a Black woman by the name of Rakia Young. She's 28 years old. You may remember there was a photo of her son that went viral on the internet. It was posted by the city of Philadelphia or their police department, and they claimed that this child was out roaming around during the unrest, when that was not really the story. What happened to Rakia was driving in the city, didn't realize she drove into a protest or drove near a protest, right? There was a protest happening for Wallace. I believe his last name was Walter Wallace Jr. was his name. And he was having a mental health breakdown when Philadelphia police fatally shot him. And so there was protesting happening. Rakia, she was driving with her 16-year-old nephew and her 2-year-old son, drove near a protest, and she was following command. However, one of the officers that was there ended up busting her window out and taking her to jail, leaving her 16-year-old nephew and her 2-year-old son. And so when her son was found, he was found roaming in this unrest by himself. And so now she has been awarded a $2 million lawsuit.
Wow.
But this is after so much trauma that she's had to endure, when this situation really just never should have happened.
That's right. That's right, George. I remember. And I think we have some of that clip, and I want us to play some of that, David, because I remember this. And I think a lot of people, once you see the footage, and those, forgive us to those who are listening, to the listening audience, but the video really stands out, as along with the propaganda that came from the police department immediately afterwards. David, let's run that clip.
I'll never forget what those officers did to us that night.
It was October 27th, 2020. In this cell phone video, you see Philadelphia police officers smash the windows of Rakia Young's car.
The officers then violently yanked Ms. Young and her nephew from the vehicle and physically beat her and him in the street, causing significant injuries. Ms. Young's son was also pulled from the vehicle by the Philadelphia police officers and taken away from his mother.
What happened to her was unconscionable and should never happen to any citizen in the city, and officers involved were being disciplined, and we had to pay up for what it is that happened to her.
The city will pay $2 million to settle any claims. Philadelphia police tell us 2 officers were fired. 14 others are now awaiting disciplinary hearings.
However, this does not end the story.
It continues with a lawsuit filed by Rakia Young and her attorneys against the National Fraternal Order of Police. The NFOP posted this picture to social media of Rakia Young's son in the arms of an officer that night with a caption that reads in part, "This child was lost during the violent riots in Philadelphia, wandering around barefoot. We are the only thing standing between order and anarchy."
All of this was done 1 week before a contested national election in order to advance the political interests of the NFOP.
For them to portray me as this type of mom who wouldn't know or care what her child was while chaos was happening, all around was very hurtful.
As for the officers involved, Rakia Young and her attorneys want the district attorney to prosecute them.
What kind of charges do you want the district attorney to file against these officers?
Aggravated assault, recklessly endangering another person, simple assault. This was nothing more than an attack that would be perpetrated by any random street thug.
You know, what bothers me, though, is you have this woman here who has to ask that these charges be filed.
That's right.
When in most cases, that is the role that the prosecution just inherently takes.
That's right. Except for in the cases of when it's the police. We can't expect the system to investigate itself. The system is not going to see anything that's happening within it as an anomaly. It's going to treat it as it is. These police officers are tools of the system. The behavior that they have towards and their disposition towards the people is the exact behavior that this system needs them to have towards us. This is not a mistake. This is not a bug. This is a feature. And so, yes, this sister does have to ask for justice, when in any other case, the prosecutors would have come down on any group of people who did this, with maybe exception of the Proud Boys, because they're getting away with a whole lot across the country. But that's another segment for another day. Georgia.
This is the first time a non-fatal settlement has been distributed by the city of Philadelphia. Usually when they're giving, a $2 million settlement, it's because someone has been killed. That's right. So this is the first time that has happened, but it does make me also think about the prosecutor in Ahmaud Arbery's case, who is facing charges for standing in the way of justice. And so I do hope that we are in a new day in America where we start to really examine the criminal justice system and the ways and the flaws that stand in the way of Black people getting justice. But for Rakia and her son, I do hope that they're able to heal, because when you look at that, it's just so traumatic, having your windows busted out, having your child separated, having a photo of him circulate on the internet as though he wasn't cared for or loved. It's all very disturbing to know that these actions are the result of, or the behavior of, the government.
Yeah. No, and I think that the other angle of this, and I know we're over time, but I think this is definitely worthy of taking the time. The other side of this is, y'all, they did this to this young sister. I want the loop to go back around so that you can see that this little sister is herself a child. I know she's probably a grown woman, but I'm sorry. When I see her, I see someone who should have been cared for in that moment. But these barbarians did the exact opposite. They didn't care for this young woman who had a child. They beat her and they pulled her out of her vehicle and they separated her from her child. This is what these police officers, who we are funding with our taxpayer dollars, are doing. Look at this. She is herself a young woman.
Yeah.
And these barbarians thought that they should take the time to beat her like that.
And the last thing I'll say here is, if it is true, if her son was roaming around, whose responsibility was that? If you're going to pull a driver out of the vehicle away from their child, whose responsibility is it to keep an eye on that child, to put that child in someone's safekeeping? And so if that child was roaming around barefoot, that is the responsibility of these officers. Then not only do they need to be charged with simple assault, but they also need to be charged with child endangerment and child neglect, because they were the ones who were supposed to be watching over that baby after they removed him from his mother.
That's right.
But I know we are at time, so that's all we have for now on the clock today. But stick around for more on The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Shout out to everybody this morning. Welcome, y'all. Come on in. Shout out to my sister Georgia Fort. Always rocking in the morning time. We appreciate you, Georgia. Shout out to Brother Ben. Good morning, everybody. Get your tea, your coffee, your drink, your beverage, whatever it is you need to get your morning started, y'all. More coming back on the Benjamin Dixon, so y'all stay tuned.
I'm not sure I understand it, but everything seems brighter now than before. I don't know why I feel this way, but every time I hear your name, all my worries disappear. Yeah.
Good morning, y'all. Missed y'all too. Even though I didn't do nothing at all yesterday but sleep. It felt good. Didn't get as much sleep as I wanted, but it was sleep nonetheless, I guess. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, y'all. Come on in. Courtney, good morning. Lily, good morning, y'all. Nat A. Sandy, good morning. Cardi Wynn. Jill Potts.
I never really had a place to call my own, so I travel and I roam till I find that. But I'm full of adventure. So
all right, y'all. Y'all welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother. It's about to go down. Y'all stay tuned. Benjamin Dixon. More starting now. Benjamin Dixon show, y'all. Let's get it.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back, everyone. It is Thursday, September 18th, 2021, and I am joined, as always, by none other than my brother from another mother, DJ Exclusive. He's somewhere around here. Hang on. Let's bring that brother to the screen. DJ Exclusive on the ones and twos. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, Ben. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I love that bop, The City of Mine. Who is that?
Give me a second. That is Snake City. Featuring Panda Raps. Yes, sir.
It takes me back to like somewhere around 2000, 2001, maybe 2003, kind of, that feel good music, but I love it. Also joining us today is one of the most revolutionary brothers on the web in real life or otherwise, Brother Marcus from Left Flank Vets. Marcus, how are you, man?
I'm good, Ben, and happy to be back, and thank you so much. And good morning to DJ Exclusive. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, sir. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Now, I want to be fair to you, Marcus, because at the last second, I thought, you know what, who we should also get in the conversation would be your brothers from your common podcast, This is Revolution. I believe I have the title correct.
Yes. Yep.
Brother Pascal and Brother Jason, two brothers that I've had the pleasure of sitting in a marathon episode. See, when y'all do that Saturday episode, y'all go for like 5 or 6 hours.
Like we go till we get tired. Like we will go until we get tired.
And so for the audience, because I want people to understand that while we do engage in the spectacle, the glitz and the glamour of the lights and the motion graphics and all that kind of stuff, I want the people to understand the root from where we derive everything that we do. And I think sometimes it's best demonstrated with brothers like you who just cut on the stream every single day. What time is your stream every day?
So every afternoon from 2 to about 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then we try and hit every night as well from about 8 to 11. So the afternoon is usually just is me and another, and sometimes another left flank will jump in, and we kind of focus on DC, what's happening under the dome. We call it Capitol Hill, but in the evening times, that's when we kind of do, the myriad of different news stories. We try and get some interviews. We actually had Cole James Cash on last
how's
night.
my brother doing? I haven't spoken to him in a while.
You know how he is.
Tell him I said hello.
He's good. He's actually just getting back into it. He's getting back into things. So he had an injury. Right. He's come back. So yeah, we had him on last night.
Just when he thought he was out.
Exactly. He might be in your DMs right now.
I tell you what. So I want people to check out, because I am a Twitch subscriber of your show. I was proud to be able to join last week. I want people to check you out 2 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube. You simulcast?
We don't. We did the Twitch thing because, the breaks with the money, it was just kind of easier. We're trying to build up the YouTube. So we're cutting some of the videos and move it to YouTube, but we don't actually stream live. But you can check out some of our vids there.
All right. Well, maybe we'll find a way.
Yeah.
We'll find a way. You know how we do around here. We'll find a way to amplify you guys as much as we can. I'm so glad that you're here to help us with this conversation this morning, because it's an interesting phenomenon with what's happening with General Tilley and the possibility of him having and creating a back channel with his counterpart in China in order to stave off disaster. It reminds me of the movie. Have James, any of y'all seen what is The Day After Tomorrow? What is it? What is the one where the Batman guy who's playing Batman now, Ben Affleck, and Sum of All Fears? It came to me. The movie Sum of All Fears, where Ben Affleck's character had to create a back channel relationship with his counterpart in Russia. It reminded me of that. I want us to play that clip again, David, giving us the summary, the entire summary of the allegation against General Tilley that's coming out in Bob Woodward's upcoming book. Of course, Donald Trump denies it. Republicans are denying it, except for Marco Rubio, who says this is treason. Let's fire him. Let's run the clip.
The Office of America's Top General says there were no secret calls to China over concerns about former President Donald Trump. That's after excerpts from a new book that claims General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, twice called a Chinese general to say the United States was stable and was not going to attack. And if there were to be an attack, Milley would alert him ahead of time. The excerpts were reported by the Washington Post on Tuesday. A spokesman for Milley said in a statement that all calls from the general are staffed, coordinated, and communicated with the Department of Defense. President Joe Biden on Wednesday was unwavering on Milley's leadership.
I have great confidence in General Milley.
The book, titled Peril, is by journalists Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, who said they relied on interviews with 200 sources. It's due out next week. In an interview with Newsmax Tuesday, Trump, who named Milley to the top military post in 2018, called the story fabricated, but said if it is true, it's treasonous.
If it is actually
all right, so we don't have to hear more from Donald Trump himself, but Marcus, I want to get your immediate response. Like, I see it being possible to be true, and while it may sound treasonous, I'm kind of glad that somebody thought enough about humanity to do it, Marcus.
No, and this is something where so Psaki let the secret out a little bit yesterday. These quote unquote back channels, this is diplomatic efforts. This is probably harkening back to when they first started negotiating and letting China back into the economic world stage. That's probably when some of these, diplomatic channels, in which it is, right? If a general can talk to another channel, that's actually diplomacy, Right. So they created those as kind of fail safes, especially too when you start getting Red Scare, where the most that you can do to just keep the peace and like legitimately world leaders are fearful of nuclear rockets going from, having somebody else to make a phone call to say, no, our leader's just angry right now, chill, is, as I potentially saved a lot of lives in the past, and potentially, it could have done it with the Trump case. So this is something that happens. It's it's already exists, and yeah, at the end of the day, like I kind of see no problem with it. I'm not a big fan of General Milley, or the military, which I'm a vet, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, having people be able to pick up a phone and talk something through versus a nuclear strike.
Absolutely. And that's the absurdity of the moment, man. That's why I wanted to get you in the conversation as a vet from the left, right? Left flank vets, obviously.
It's in the name.
It's there in the name, but it's also saying like you have served this country. You have seen the tip of the spear of this empire. You understand how this machine works. And at the end of the day, while some Republicans want to use this as a political football, it's simply called diplomacy. And I also hear you saying, thank God for diplomacy, especially when we have leaders as irrational as Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. And I really, I don't see where anyone can fault this. I think that, this kind of just shows the fecklessness of the support for the troops, quote unquote, that most Republicans have. That, the military for them is a pawn, or maybe just a knight in the culture war, and not necessarily an organization that they wholeheartedly support. And then this kind of just shows it right to its face.
Right.
Because Trump chose Miley, and like, this is what makes it, a little bit more confusing and hurtful to their narrative is that Trump chose Miley and Biden kept him on.
Yeah.
Which, I guess,
it speaks to the consistency of this military industrial complex across administrations, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, it confuses this whole thing, because that's Trump's boy who said, listen, we just need to cool the waters a little bit. And now, you're getting to this type of thing where Republicans should be asking themselves, what did we do by enabling this person?
That's right.
Not should we punish the people who were preparing to stop him from doing something.
That's it.
Just insidious. That's like, I don't know how else to see this other than they're just trying to play culture war games. But with this thing, it's just really messed up.
Well, so that's the thing. Thank you for striking at the core of the absurdity. The absurdity is the fact that Donald Trump got into power in the first place. And the secondary, Donald Trump is the symptom. The primary absurdity is the fact that the path to power in this country is through white supremacy, greed, and bigotry. And Donald Trump was just the master of those things. And so if we are going to actually be concerned with this country, and this is the thing, Marcus, I want you to chime in on real quick. It would be in the best interest of this empire to not go around the globe gallivanting in its imperialistic ways, because we have seen time and again our actions, no matter who you trust this power in, the power of the presidency, the power of our nuclear armament, there's a possibility that we're going to get somebody just like Trump or worse than Trump, because we have entrusted so much power into the office of the Imperial Presidency.
Yeah, and this is something, a little bit of background too, is like, after I was, left the military, I staffed a member of Congress for a little bit. And like, this is something that is like, it's baked into the system, because we say war is a racket. It's a book and a speech by General Smedley Butler. And so this is way before Eisenhower says, for World War I, right? This is before Eisenhower is talking about the military industrial complex and coins that phrase. But this idea that the profit motive that pushes our wars, this has been around for a long, long time. And especially you just have to like see that, I think a lot of things too is like that last drone strike, that over the horizon that just killed a family of a man that was bringing people water, and we talked about this a lot yesterday. This is how the military operates.
Yeah.
They saw a white car talk to, what they said was the ISIS, went to an ISIS compound. That's just what they said. And next thing you know, they saw a weighted down vehicle. And next thing you know, there's drone strikes happening and kids killed. Like, that's the baseline, and it only gets worse as you go up. And so I think people do need to understand that. Yeah, like when you say General Miley going from one to another, it shows you how seamless the military industrial complex can keep in control. And at the end of the day, Lloyd Austin, board of Raytheon, and General Miley is just going to be on the future, right? If it's not Raytheon, it'll be Boeing. If it's not Boeing, General Dynamics. Like these countries need to be nationalized. We need to have the ownership of these things that make warfare happen, and we need to be more into the decision of it. But so I don't mean to interject, but what you said right there was high key revolutionary. But if we really pause and think about it, doesn't it only make sense, Marcus, that if we can own our post office, we should be able to own our military.
And we don't.
I really don't see how because it's revolutionary from this system, but we shouldn't think of it as absurd or outlandish. It just makes sense.
Common sense.
It makes sense.
I want to shift gears a little bit here and go to President Biden and the relationship that he had with the outgoing president of Afghanistan. There is the kerfuffle, if you would, around the perception game, the game of how it appears. And this has been something, and speaking directly about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And this is a report from Reuters, and they have the transcript. Now, I want to read a portion of the transcript before we play any of the clips that we have from the different hosts that are taking advantage of this. But I want to know from you, Marcus, if you think this falls in the lines of diplomacy as well, because this is from, and hang on a second, I want to make sure I get the right transcript from Reuters. This is Biden to Ghani. This is the nature of the conversation, and this is what was leaked. Got to put one more pause here before I even read this. This is a high-level transcript between the president of the United States and his counterpart. And this transcript was leaked to the media, or rather, apparently to a member of Congress. And they used this in their interrogation that we covered yesterday of FBI Director Wray, if my memory serves me correctly. So this is some high-level treason, if you would, for whoever leaked this transcript. I'm not so much concerned about that angle. I just want to make sure people understand the context of how we got this transcript and how it became a part of the national conversation. Where you're concerned, Marcus, this is something that the conservative movement is saying, oh, this is bad, this is horrible. But I want your take. Here's the transcript. And this is Biden speaking to President Ghani saying, quote, "I need not tell you the perception around the world and its parts of Afghanistan, I believe, is that things aren't going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban. And there's a need, whether it's true or not, there is a need to project a different picture." The conversation continues. "You clearly have the best military." This is a conversation towards, this is a response. "You have 300,000 well-armed forces versus 70 to 80,000, and they're clearly capable of fighting. Well, we will continue to provide close air support if we know what the plan is and what we are doing, and all that way through the end of August, and who knows what after that." And again, this is the leaked transcript from President Biden in a conversation with President Ghani, and it's centered around the perception of the pullout. This is the last part that I want to read, and then I want your input, Marcus. This is what he said. "The perception around the world is that this is looking like a losing proposition, which it is not. Not that it necessarily is that, but so the conclusion I'm asking you to consider is to bring together everyone from former Vice President Abdul Rashid to former President Hamid Karzai and in between. And if they stand there and say they back the strategy you put together and put a warrior in charge, you know, like a military man, Defense Minister Khan, in charge of executing this strategy, and that will change perception." Now, I gave you all the nuts and bolts. Of course, I have the response from Ghani to Biden, but I Marcus, help the people to understand your thoughts as it pertains to this leaked transcript that is apparently supposed to look bad on President Biden. What are your thoughts?
And I agree with kind of the first thing you're saying, that someone from Biden's inner circle had to have leaked this out, and White House inner circle is not necessarily his personal inner circle, right? There could be people who've been working here for decades. But as to why, I think because stopping the military industrial complex from moving along, that's the problem, and so some people within that apparatus are going to leak stuff. But at the end of the day, from what I read the transcripts, what I actually understood, because when two heads of state talk, yes, they may be speaking English, but you still need to translate it because they're speaking diplomat. Biden straight up said, if you do not do something dire right now, you're screwed. Taliban's going to take over, and the writing's on the wall. And Ghani pretty much said, listen, if you guys don't stick around, we're screwed. And guess what happened? like that just so when I see those transcripts, basically they said, listen, dog, game's over. That's them too understanding that, hey, good game, maybe we get him next time. And at the end of the day, that's it. Because like when Ghani says, listen, you got 300,000 well trained, ready to go, we only got 70 to 80.
And let me give you, because what you're saying is absolutely in the response. Here's Ghani's response to Joe Biden in the transcript. This is the last paragraph of the transcript for anyone who's following along in the actual transcript. Ghani said to Biden, "We are facing a full-scale invasion composed of Taliban, full Pakistani planning and logistical support, and at least 10 to 15,000 international terrorists, predominantly Pakistanis, thrown into this. So that dimension, watch this, that dimension needs to be taken into account here." I mean, he's got, this is a response. So this was a high level conversation, really at an inflection point, determining the future of Afghanistan as it pertains to the Taliban. And while the outcome is what we have experienced, we've seen the chaos, we've seen the lack of strategy, or however you want to describe it. But at the end of the day, the nature of this conversation is what is the source of the accusations. And I appreciate you contextualizing this, because this conversation is a type of diplomatic conversation you actually want your president to be capable of.
Yeah, because I think the only way this goes, right, because there's a whole lot of talks, right, but we got to understand, by the time this phone call happens, the Taliban is really in control of Afghanistan. It's only a matter of time, right? By the time they're having this talk, it's an understanding that it's only a matter of time. You see some of the intel reports, and even who's an Anthony Blinken had even said, like, well, we just thought it was going to be a year, right? Like, instead of a few weeks, but they knew it was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. And so that conversation was kind of like oh shit, this chicken's about to be done. Yeah. And we haven't even set the table yet.
That's right. They got caught with, in a way, they got caught with their pants down. But also, I actually think, again, that the Taliban being unable to be rooted by the United States military over the course of 20 years really suggests to me that the Taliban was going to be in that position anyway. I don't know what type of show of support that Joe Biden thought President Ghani could put up that would be sufficient to block the Taliban invasion. What are your thoughts about that before we play this clip? Because we have
and that's I mean, I guess there's something with like Ghani and even some of the people that Joe Biden was saying is like, the United States, we were working with bad people. So that's part of the reason why the government we tried to stand up, didn't work. We didn't ask Afghans who they want in power like we normally do. We found people who are going to be nice to us and engage in our interests. And then we put them in power, and then we propped them up for as long as we could. And as soon as we pulled away, it all falls apart.
Funny how that's a vicious cycle, because didn't we help create the Taliban in the first place, and then they became inconvenient for us?
This is where it kind of goes back to where, a lot of people want to have the conversation about, Joe Biden in Afghanistan. But like, I'm sorry, you need to go back. You need to go back 40 years.
That's right.
We just start talking about actual arming and the things that we're doing now, right? Like arming violent groups because we think it's going to be helpful to our interests in the future. Well, like we see it now, right? We got to see it now.
Let's do this. Marcus, do you have how much time you got to hang out with us this morning?
As much time as you got, man.
Oh man. Okay. So what I want to do is we're going to continue the conversation in Like It or Not. Rebecca Azor is out today. We want to make sure all of our team members have a chance to rest and enjoy from the audience. So shout out to our sister Queen Rebecca Azor. We're going to cut over to Like It or Not. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to tackle this from the aspect of the Republican propaganda spin. Right. And you've already said it once in this segment, Marcus, how the absurd thing is that they're taking things that are decidedly good, moments of diplomacy, and they're spinning it to be something bad, which in it of itself is a crippling move in terms of like, how do we the question I want to explore and like it or not today, while we laugh and joke about everything else, right? We're going to let our hair down. But how in the world do we move forward as humans when you got people like the Republican Party out there who are turning something that is decidedly good into something bad? That's what we're going to tackle when we come back. DJ exclusive. It's in your hands, brother. We'll be back right after this.
Turning minutes into hours into day. I'm thinking about the situation.
Good morning, everybody. Make sure that you stay tuned. Like it or not, it's starting up next. Y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned. Y'all, we got some good stuff coming up that you don't want to miss. And I had to get off camera so I can go get this coffee. And I thought I was going to have it before the show started, but I forgot to plug up the coffee machine. Yeah, so I had to wait. Yeah. Anyway, y'all, good morning again. Y'all, welcome. Y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned. We got some good stuff coming up that you do not want to miss. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mama and Daddy. I love you. Good morning, Q. I love you too. Good morning, y'all. Brother Lateef, good morning. It's my time to ride. I'm young. I'm free.
I love it. Let me get myself off the street.
But I'm going to tell you something else, man. You know what they said about Jesus, right? You know, they said that Jesus gathered everybody and fed everybody fish and wine and just had a good time, right?
Oh,
it was fish and a piece of bread, you know, having a good time. Communion, you know, the fellowship.
A fish fry.
Basically, man, you beat me to it. That's all it was. So Jesus basically had a fish fry. So y'all can't tell me Jesus ain't black, goddamn it. Yo, we heard that joke last night on TikTok. So shout out to TikTok and man, the Looper family, because they are hilarious, bro. I had to do it. Man, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Like it or not is coming up next. All right, y'all. Somebody said Jesus did barbecue. Farrah, I do remember Hubba Bubba. Hubba Bubba Bubblegum. Uh-huh. All right, y'all. Y'all make sure to stay tuned. Like it or not starts now. It's about to go down.
Like it or not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
I thought I was going to see everybody. Do it, James.
Oh, good morning. I got lost thinking about the fish fry, bro.
And I'm hungry.
I was thinking about that in my head, bro. I forgot all of that.
I am hungry, brother. I'm like, I am not going to be able to eat for a little bit here. And well, welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it.
I am one of your many hosts, Benjamin Dixon, here with DJ Exclusive. It is Thursday, September 16, 2021. We are joined again by our brother from another mother, host of Left Flank. Man, that's not the easiest word to say, but it says so much. Left Flank Vets. Marcus,
yeah,
how you
like
we would say like, yeah.
How many? Hey, listen.
General Tilly, huh?
Listen, let me tell you something. I learned something from one of the preachers down in South Florida. When you say something wrong, you just keep going. You just go. You don't stop to admit that you said it wrong. But thanks be to James, who's not gonna let the moment.
Strong and wrong. I was gonna wait too. I'm holding on to this one. Okay, strong and wrong. But my brother kept going, and I'm like,
I said Tilly. How many times did I say Tilly?
Man, that whole first segment.
And brother Marcus tried to help me. He was like, well, it's Millie, but Ben is not killing Tilly, so let me say Miley to help him out to understand he's saying it wrong.
can't
listen,
stand neither one of y'all.
I have a good excuse before we go into the seriousness of it. I have a good excuse. I just got through watching this. My kids watch Big City Greens, and one of the main characters on it is Tilly, and she's this little adorable little girl who's also kind of sociopathic. She's a little sociopath in the making. And so anytime I get anywhere near Millie, Illy, Dilly, I hear Tilly. Because but shout out to General Millie who helps.
Is it Millie? Is it Millie?
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep saying Miley. I don't care too much.
Right, Marcus?
Because we really don't care.
We really don't give a dang on, so it's okay.
Like, it's only for content.
It's
The purpose of the segment is not the general. While we massacre his name, but when we're in the earlier segment, we're in the BPD segment, we're all nice and professional, and you can't, when you're a professional, you can't admit in real time that you messed up. So we just keep going past it. That said, the whole point of the segment was there should not be a single individual on the face of the planet who has the capacity to end all of civilization as we know it, especially when that person in that office can be held by somebody like Donald Trump. So that's really what matters, more so than the fact that I messed up his name through the entire segment. So.
And just put some on that, because that's the real thing right there, is that war powers is a congressional power, right? That is between the House and the Senate, or at least it used to be. We are now at a phase where you've got Tilly, Millie, Miley, Tiley, who has to come, has to take it upon himself to correct what Congress is failing to do, which is take power of the war.
I mean, that's actually a great point. While, obviously we are going to find a reason to laugh, even though today we're laughing at our own expense, which is even better. The fact of the matter is that the United States the Congress has not done its job as an institution to authorize war since the authorization of use of military force, I believe, with the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Barbara Lee, if you listen to Barbara Lee's floor speech, I mean, that should be played once a month in this country. If you listen to that, she spells it out and says, if we do this, she's like, nothing about we were wrong, people were hurt, but it's like, if we will do this, this is unending. This is opening up too much. And here we are, 20 years later. So that's an important thing. And like the fact that there was only one person in Congress that even read the Constitution and understood how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the scary thing, right?
Yeah. I and like we were saying just before we went to break, it is the Republican Party's ability to spin something that is decidedly good into something that we should fear. Because what has happened in response to this, is that it pushes our leaders away from diplomacy, right? If it becomes a political liability for Joe Biden and General Millie, Miley, Tiley, for them to have diplomatic conversations with their counterparts, if it becomes politically toxic and they start losing positions of power, this is what will become of it. The president who is diplomatic will be seen as the weak president, and the president who is the most belligerent will be elected into power. And then there goes the whole ball game, because, well, like you said, the military industrial complex is just salivating for an opportunity to get some bigger checks.
And that's the thing too, is that we can see, like, I would say Biden makes the right decision, actually, pulling out of Afghanistan, following through with that. I think people need to understand, if we stayed one day longer, then we're not just fighting ISIS-K, then we're fighting the Taliban as well, right? Like, one day longer, Taliban's back in it. But at the end of the day, Joe Biden still ended a war and is still hoping that Congress increases the military budget. Now, you can't make that make sense to me, other than war is a racket, and these people, the general, the contractors, the generals, and like they're the ones driving it. and it's just more spending. And even I think it was yesterday when he had the meeting with the Australian Prime Minister. I don't know his name, but then Boris Johnson as well, to have this like Indo-Pacific agreement to battle against China. It's like China is including ours, the number one trade partner for all of those countries. Like, we need to start thinking some things through as far as like what's happening on the ground, and so, yeah, it's all just driven by the military to make bigger checks, Raytheon stocks going up, General Dynamics stocks going up, Boeing stocks going up, and they will continue to.
It is, let's play this clip, man, because, if you and I chop it up on air too much longer without the framing that our producer has provided, we're going to end up calling for revolution. That said, David, play this clip of the Republican Party trying to make this conversation between President Biden and President Tilley. They're trying to make it a liability. And I want people to listen to this through the lens of this fundamental truth. It is always in the best interest of our leaders to have very direct channels and, if necessary, back channels to protect humanity from the ignorance of irrational actors. David, run the first clip.
The President Biden worked with the coward exiled president of Afghanistan to manipulate the intelligence about the Taliban.
What the president said to then President Ghani in private is exactly what he said in public. That the issue was not whether Afghanistan had the capacity to withstand the Taliban. It's whether it had the will and the plan to do so. He urged him.
The transcript was a lie.
It's have false. That plan.
It's incorrect. He did not
work to bring people together.
You're saying it's false. It's a lie. It's incorrect. He did not work to tamp down the intelligence on the Taliban.
Absolutely not.
So the transcript is incorrect. That's your testimony today.
That the intelligence that we had, we've already discussed at some length about what the assessments were of the Taliban and its capacity to take over the country.
I think that everybody looking for an explanation about what happened and how everybody got it so wrong, how your administration got it so wrong, needs to look at that as the most likely explanation, asking the president to manipulate the intelligence of what was actually going on with the Taliban.
I want us to also.
Simply put,
I do not wish to hear from you. I'm not
simply
yielding you
put, Congressman, what you said is dead wrong.
I don't wish
There
to hear
was
your
no
lies.
manipulation of intelligence.
When you stand up in front of the camera,
And
not listening
you have
to
all been
Don't wish to
regularly
hear your lies.
apprised of the intelligence
Don't wish to hear
assessments.
your lies.
Gentlemen,
The gentleman was suspended. The gentleman's time.
Not looking to hear
The gentleman's time has expired.
And so has the
The
secretary.
gentleman's time has
Yes, so
expired.
is the secretary.
The secretary can answer the question.
I didn't ask him a question.
You did ask a question.
I don't want to hear from the secretary.
The gentleman's time
he lies
has
to us when
expired.
he steps in front of the camera. That's
The
what he
gentleman's
does.
time
Lies to us when he
has
steps in front of the
expired.
camera.
Mr.
Expect the
Secretary,
Taliban to live up
the
to their
gentleman's
commitment to
time
counterterrorism. Least
has
believable
answered-
thing I've ever heard.
The gentleman's time has expired.
People need to use common
The
sense with
gentleman's
this
time
secretary.
has expired. We're here to hear from the secretary.
Not to hear lies.
The gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Secretary, if you
James and Marcus, that clip, I forgot how wild that clip actually got. And you're listening to Representative Mass, the Republican congressman who was questioning Anthony Blinken, Secretary Blinken. And he's trying to lay the entirety of the problem in Afghanistan at the feet of this transcript that is now the big to-do for Republicans, and that transcript means that's why everything failed in Afghanistan, Marcus, not all the other things that you have already properly diagnosed this morning. What are your thoughts on that clip, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is just the Republican hysteria machine, which the only thing I could say is good is at least this is real. At least, Afghanistan is a place that exists, and they're not on about critical race theory, coming in to destroy elementary school or something. Like, at least they're dealing with reality now, but they're changing it into their still like crazy mess. And this is just to get on, he's so hoping to get on Fox News, to get into funding and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, it's like there is no lie in that conversation with Joe Biden and Ashraf Ghani. Like, you just need to understand what they were saying. And Joe Biden spelled it out. Like, if you don't do something dire, things are going to look bad. But at the end of the day, there was no option, right? The only other option was what happened, right? And so for these Republicans, they're going to grab at anything. This is a political game that they will play, because anything that is left on the table, they grab the scraps and they try and run to Fox News and make it as the biggest thing. But yeah, this is just one of their other games, but there's no there with it.
Yeah. Let's shift gears real quick, because I think we've made the case, and anybody who's paying attention, they should clearly see what the Republican Party is doing here. I want to go to a young black sister from Philadelphia, a black woman, mother, who was beaten by a police officer, and she has been awarded, Rekia Young has been awarded $2 million because of a clip that we're going to play. Now, this summary, I believe, is from NBC News, but as we listen to this clip, I want you guys to take in consideration and look, brothers, I want y'all to look at how young this sister is, and then look at how the police in this video treated her. They opened the car door, the vehicle door, and they saw this young woman, and they decided that the appropriate response to her presence was to beat her and to separate her from her child. And to add insult to injury, when they separated her from her child, they took a picture of her child and promoted it through the Fraternal Order of Police to suggest that Rekia Young abandoned her child, when the reality was they stole her child after they beat her. And now she's getting $2 million as a result. Let's run the clip of Rekia Young's experience.
Never forget what those officers did to us that night.
It was October 27, 2020. In this cell phone video, you see Philadelphia police officers smash the windows of Rekia Young's car.
The officers then violently yanked Ms. Young and her nephew from the vehicle and physically beat her and him in the street, causing significant injuries. Ms. Young's son was also pulled from the vehicle by the Philadelphia police officers and taken away from his mother.
What happened to her was unconscionable and should never happen to any citizen in the city, and officers involved were being disciplined, and we had to pay up for what it is that happened to her.
The city will pay $2 million to settle any claims. Philadelphia police tell us 2 officers were fired. 14 others are now awaiting disciplinary hearings.
However, this does not end the story.
It continues with a lawsuit filed by Rekia Young and her attorneys against the National Fraternal Order of Police. The NFOP posted this picture to social media of Rekia Young's son in the arms of an officer that night, with a caption that reads in part, "This child was lost during the violent riots in Philadelphia, wandering around barefoot. We are the only thing standing between order and anarchy."
All of this was done 1 week before a contested national election in order to advance the political interests of the NFOP.
For them to portray me as this type of mom who wouldn't know or care what her child was while chaos was happening, all around was very hurtful.
As for the officers involved, Rekia Young and her attorneys want the district attorney to prosecute them.
Yo, I look at this young sister and I don't understand, James. Like, how do you open a car door and see this young sister and your instinct is to beat her like she was a grown man?
Police, man. That's how they do. I ain't gonna say it's not all the police, but the only thing they know is that it was a riot going on, and anybody that was in the area, they were just gonna pull them out and beat them. Probably would have been a 80-year-old person that's driving in the area. They would have did. As you see, they just mobbed the car. They don't care about what's going on. They didn't care what she was doing. They just saw somebody right there in the area that may have stopped, turned around, and do something. They just pulled her right out the car.
Yeah, I agree with James.
That was going on during the riots. Did we just know about this one? It was a lot more. I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 for 2, right? Like, one, that could have been anyone. As long as they had fucking black skin and pulled up and stopped, they were going to get pulled out that car and their ass beat. If it was an elderly person, right? Like, it could have just taken one shot and then they could have killed somebody easily.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, is like when you say two cops got fired.
Yeah, I saw more than 2.
Police department standing in front of that car, helping mobbing the car. And like, I mean,
this propaganda, that last line, hold it there, David.
Yeah.
We are not your enemy. We are the thin blue line, and we are the only thing standing between order and anarchy. Bro, that sounds like something straight out of Orson Welles or 1984. It sounds like something like out of a futuristic movie where they are literally doing the thing to hurt us and saying, hey, we are here to protect you. We're the only thing standing between anarchy and chaos.
I'll take anarchy. Then this. Give me anarchy.
Because this looks like anarchy. Look at this. Who is causing the riot there? Who's causing the chaos? And how many times do we see, like James, I remember when the protest broke out here in Atlanta, and one of the flashpoints, there was a black journalist here in Atlanta, and her name escapes me, but she captured the moment that started. Remember downtown by the CNN building when everything kind of went to hell during the George Floyd protest? There was a black journalist who actually captured the flashpoint. If you want to know how all of that happened during the George Floyd protest, where the CNN building got broken, the glass was shattered, and the sign was painted on, it all stemmed from a police officer assaulting a young black woman. And the response from the crowd was, no, the hell not. And everything from there descended into the. So once again, we see that the chaos that the police say that they're trying to stop is chaos that they started.
Always. And 9 times out of 10, that's how everything gets started. All the violence is normally caused by the police. Now, don't get it twisted and get it wrong. You have those bunch that are in the crowd that like to incite different things. But 9 times out of 10, it's all the police. All the protests that I watched over the last year, I mean, everybody saw it. It's so much video that you couldn't miss it. It was all instigated by the police.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all remember the video of there's a dude with a hammer breaking an AutoZone window.
Yes.
Cop.
Yes.
It was a pig. Yes.
Really? I did.
Yes.
I knew that they were. So this is out in is this in Minneapolis? I want to make sure we're in the right city.
I think so. Yeah.
This was a city where after they killed George Floyd, that they burned down the precinct. But prior to the burning down of the precinct, there was video captured of a guy dressed in all black with a hammer smashing out the windows of AutoZone. And I knew that they were a provocateur. I didn't know that they were a police officer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
And I really think that a lot of other riots here in Atlanta, I really think that some of that stuff were implants of police or otherwise, just to incite that stuff, just to make it seem like the protests were becoming violent. But I'm glad that we are living in an age where technology is a thing and people capture everything. They're live stream everything. They're going to TikTok everything, Instagram everything. So you can't sit here and tell me that all these protests were violent, because all the stuff was recorded. So I'm glad that we're living in that age now, and I'm glad people are recording stuff. Excuse me.
It's so easy for us. See, that's why, Marcus, this is why I tell people, it's like when one person does it, it spreads naturally. And by the end of the show, I'll be dropping MF for this, MF for that. So
honestly, I don't even know which one I said. When you said I was like,
you were just in the zone, accurately describing using the adjectives that are necessary to describe the insidiousness of the military-industrial complex and the police state. Right? We can definitely put some logic to it if we need to.
But no, and I wish I could remember who did the study or the publication that produced it. But they had looked at all of the response to the protests. And how did things escalate? And 10 out of 10, it is the police who escalate. First people show up just with, water bottles just to, stay hydrated. And the cops are showing up with riot gear. Okay, so we got to show up with umbrellas and shields and all these things. Oh, okay. Well, now we're calling the National Guard. Like it is the police escalate things, but in the very few communities where you see the cops are saying like, "Hey, just walk, chant, go where you're gonna go," and even when they set a curfew, most of the people go away.
Yeah, they do. And here's the thing, Marcus, we know these organizers. Like, we don't know them all personally, but we know the ethos of organizers and organizing, and they take special care in ensuring that everyone affiliated with the organizing of any protest is going to be non-violent. Like that is the general principle of organizing 101 in this dispensation, is that organizers are organizing peaceful protests, and then they run into these cops. And before we shift gears, I want to talk about this clip from Daily Wire, where they're trying to blame Barack Obama on, sad and deflated white men. I want to talk about that, but before I do, I just the fine point on this conversation, fellas, under no circumstances, see the barbarity that we saw expressed to that young sister, Rakia Young, was the same kind of barbarity, Marcus, that I see extended in so many examples of how our military, just following orders, do horrific things across the globe. Yes. Because how do you open up a door and see a young woman like this and think that what she needs is an assault? It just speaks to just the inhumanity, man, because not to make it like patriarchal or misogynistic and care or chivalrous or anything, but still, when I feel like when fellas, when y'all are ascertaining a threat and you have guns and you have batarangs you have all the legitimate use of force, you have the power. Do you look at a young woman like that and feel like I need to assault her?
Well, no, but we're black. We don't look at black women and see a threat. Cops do. And I mean, I'm not to say that there are some black cops that, but it's like once you put on that uniform, you're going to see things in that light. And like that's the thing is like, even though with that whole 2 dozen cops there, a cop pulls up, stops. And obviously, since it's not puts it in park.
Yeah.
And she's still a threat. Drag her out of car, beaten with batons. Still a threat.
I said batarangs.
You did say batarangs.
I said batarangs.
You did say batarangs.
They might have had some batarangs. The police department is their budget is it's pretty expensive. But no, to tie it back to is like what you said though, is like, and this is somewhere qualified immunity is not something that happens just for the police. This is something that happens for the world police, i.e. the United States military. And like even from the worst of it, Eddie Gallagher, people getting pardoned for their war crimes. And then the thing is too, is that from the suicide bombing that had happened outside of Kabul, the response from military members was to shoot into the crowd. There's multiple reports of Afghans that were killed by the United States military after that bomb in the chaos that happened. And then you got this drone strike where we just killed a family. Is anyone going to see a jail cell for that? Is anyone going to be accountable for any of that? I mean, at least some cops got fired here.
We lost Ben. James, let's take it to break real quick, and Ben's working on coming back.
Okay, I got you. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, okay?
Baby, you set my soul on fire every morning and every evening. And maybe we can.
At first, I really thought Ben went to sleep. I'm like, did Ben go to sleep? Because he just stuck. What's going on?
Making you move, it sure looks good. Playing it cool like you know you should.
So goodbye, my love. Already found someone that I'm thinking of, and I lose myself.
Good morning, everyone. Ben is working on coming back in an amateur. Well, not amateur, but he won't have his good camera with him when he comes back, unfortunately. Georgia Electricity is playing games in the neighborhood. But we do have a couple of clips, and we're going to move on to the lighter side before the after party. So,
yes.
Let's go from the light / serious to just the pure stupid. Everyone knows that. Gavin Newsom survived his recall election.
Yes.
And Ben Shapiro seems to think that this is cause for secession.
So on a national level, why should we care about California? Because what it actually presages is not just politics in California. What it presages is a question. Whether we actually do want to remain part of the same body politic. If we do want to remain part of the same body politic, we're going to have to construct a system of a federal governance in which Texas can be Texas and California can be California. However, California has to let Texas be Texas. And herein lies the rub, because the federal government has no interest, when run by Democrats, in allowing Texas to be Texas. They would like Texas to be California. And if that's the case, what you're going to end up with is a fairly ugly split between states that wish to be left alone and states that wish to run their business from the top level of the federal government. I think this is why you're hearing so much talk these days about a quote-unquote civil war, or talk about secession, or talk about the country breaking apart. It's a serious question. Whenever you form a body politic, which is what happened at the founding and what happened again in the aftermath of the Civil War, if you form a body politic, you have to decide whether you wish to remain part of the same country. And if so, what common rules can you hold at the top level that everybody can agree to? Well, if the basic notion of American government is that the federal government's going to make all the rules and it's just going to be a struggle for the power of the one ring, then this country is not going to last this way. It is just not. And maybe then the best hope for a lot of conservatives and maybe for a lot of liberals, depending on who's in control of that federal government, is a friendly separation. That is what that foresages. And not that California is the wave of the future, but that California and its polarization is the wave of the future. And that we're going to get, I promise you, in the aftermath of this, real estate values in Florida are going to go up. Real estate values in Arizona, in Texas, in Nevada, they're going to go up because Republicans are going to continue leaving. And maybe that's what the California politicians want. So be it.
Okay, is that enough? Oh my gosh, because he was annoying as hell, bro. Oh my gosh.
It's always too much with...
You see, when you're looking at the body politic and the immigration of the country.
No,
California wants to be Texas, and Texas wants to be California. And what we're gonna do is shut up. If somebody said in chat, he looks like his feet are not touching the ground.
He's kicking the whole way.
He's kicking the whole way. Definitely,
he's definitely short. There's no doubt about that. Oh, he is. Yeah.
Which the thing is too is like, okay, what Ben is failing to understand, right? It's good that he mentioned the Ring of Mordor, but you need to get some hobbits to get it there,
right?
Okay. That's I'll say this. It's frustrating. You know, like I went to school for political science, and there's a whole bunch of people who just take those words and they throw it into some word salad like this stuff to sound smart. And that's his whole shtick. This is his whole thing. Let me talk real fast in my nasally voice, and people think I'm smart. I say words like the body politic. They say country, fool. We know what you're talking about.
And you're absolutely right, Mark, because they try to get that fast talk so it'll try to go over your head, but you're not fooling us, man. You're not. It's not going to work, buddy. Go take a little short stuff and go kick somewhere else, okay? Go kick some rocks.
Y'all remember, I mean, I think it still exists. I just don't think it's really caught any wind because California is the state that California is. But you remember there was a petition or a movement in California for New California to divide the state into two.
Yes.
Yeah.
As recently as like a year or two ago.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, California. There's been the split, and there's also been the from the left, to actually split California off in the similar way that Texas wants to come, split off from the right. But also too, it's like Texas has not only considered itself its own country, but has tried to make itself its own country since I've been alive.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like this ain't new.
And the only split that California is going to have is when it splits off the rest of the United States and floats off the sea. But that's a story for another day. Okay.
That beachfront property in Arizona opening up, baby.
Okay, baby.
Well, Shapiro is not the only white man on the right upset right now. I mean, bet by a long shot, but the Daily Wire seems to have multiple. I think Ben Shapiro is actually in this clip, just kind of sitting in some kind of flashy suit alongside the rest of these people at this roundtable thing. But I guess Daily Wire has a show called Backstage or Backstage Live. And they had some thoughts on what Barack Obama has done to rock and roll.
In this clip.
There we go.
Roll is a public health question.
Rock and roll's over. You're still talking about rock and roll as though Barack Obama didn't happen. Honestly, it's for another day, but Barack Obama destroyed rock and roll.
You have convinced me of this.
There was rock and roll, then there was Barack Obama. Now there is no rock and roll.
Yep. So he did something good.
But because rock and roll was about white male angst. White male teenage angst.
Yeah.
And then Barack Obama came
and
along
stealing
and
a lot
said
of his tropes from better black music.
Yeah,
then,
really.
well, Barack Obama came along and said young white men aren't allowed to have angst.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to basically express their dissatisfaction because they're so
toxic.
Yeah. And so truly rock and roll just stopped.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Rock and roll just stopped. Wait, I mean, like Chuck Berry.
Hello.
Dad's back.
Oh, dang it, Marcus, we got to act right now.
Oh, David put me behind the Chiron.
Right, and now it's like,
there we go. Now we can see you. Shout out to that power grid coming back as quickly as it did. Thank y'all for holding it down. What did I miss?
Rock music is white music, and Barack Obama destroyed it. I think that's yeah.
And the short man talking about California want to be Texas, and Texas is going to be California. That's it. Nothing much really.
Just normal Republican and conservative talking points, making sense.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the guy who's on screen now, Ben Shapiro, who is considered to be the the apex of Western civilization in terms of critical debate. Here's a clip. Did you guys play this clip already?
Yeah, we did.
And what did he say in this one? Like, because I know it was something stupid. What did I miss?
California wants to be Texas, and Texas will be California.
Oh, that's what Ben Shapiro said.
If California thinks that it can push over and take over the United States, it's going to say the body politic. Texas will not understand. Like that.
I don't.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Oh, and he did say something about the ring. Yeah.
The Lord. The ring getting to Mordor.
Yeah.
Guys,
but you know what, Marcus? He is a hobbit, so I mean, I guess he just missing.
He knows.
Wait a minute. Wait. From one short man, on behalf of all the short people.
No, hold up. You are a short king. Do not put yourself into the same category as these manlets. Okay, there is a fine line. Do not do that to yourself, brother. You're better than this.
Ben. Okay, don't do it, Ben.
You are a short king.
Like 4'8". Ben Shapiro about 4'8", 4'9". Man, you at least like 5'2", 5'3". Let me stop.
The spirit inside of him is incel level.
Dang it, man.
Listen, technology is both our tool and the bane of our existence here. But I thank the audience for their patience. And Marcus, I want to thank you, man. And actually, I want you to stay around because I'm not sure if the grid is going to go out on me again. But we're getting ready to hit the after party at the 10 o'clock hour. Patreon.com/the BPD show, or rather, correction, Patreon.com/like it or not to get access to any of the after party. It doesn't matter who you are a patron of, you get access to it. And that's where we really let our proverbial hair down. Marcus, you can let your hair down. That said, 2 o'clock today, though, you are going to be live on Twitch with Left Flank Vets. How can people get there and participate and support your show, man?
So twitch.tv/Left Flank Vets. We are also, Twitter is our kind of like main squeeze, is that's like where we have the most fun and do an engagement even with politicians or just making memes. But go on the Bird app and at Left Flank Vets. But we're also on Instagram, Facebook, but also YouTube videos, Left Flank Vets. We got it all. Please check us out. Like, follow, hit the bell, do all the things, right?
And that is today every day at 2 p.m.
Every day
Eastern.
I try be there at 2 p.m. Eastern. Afternoons talking about the focus of power, what's happening under the Capitol Dome, and then in the evenings from 8 to 11 Eastern time, we're getting into all the favorite news stories of the day, giving our perspective and everything like that.
And we are what I love about technology is it doesn't matter where you are in the country or in the world. We are joined by Pascal of the Pascal Show, who coincidentally I was getting ready to plug your 10 o'clock Eastern show, brother Pascal. What it do, man?
How fitting. What's up, man? Yeah, I felt like I had to grace my height onto the show today. So I felt like, you know what I'm saying? Like out of my busy schedule, I was like, man, let me just show up. Let me just grace them with my vertical prowess, if you will.
Vertical. How tall are you?
I'm 6'4", my brother.
6'4". Okay.
Damn. Man, you don't look 6'4" sitting down. You carry the height well. You carry the height well.
Thank you. Some people think I'm like as tall as Tom Cruise, but yeah,
no. I'm as tall as Tom Cruise. You are as tall as Tyler Perry.
Oh, yeah. Lo siento.
Let me find out that Pascal. Let me find out Pascal is Tyler Perry's doppelganger out here in the street.
There he is.
Hey man,
10 o'clock Eastern. In about you got 5 minutes, bro. What are you doing here?
Hey, I just came on to say what's up, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, tell your doppelganger to let people unionize.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying. I'm gonna say right now. Yo, TP, you know, call me, bro.
TP, hit me up.
I could be your younger
TP,
brother.
are you with me?
Some shows. I could be your younger brother, or I could play you younger. You know what I'm saying?
You could play a younger Tyler Perry, but the question is are you going to play Madea?
A younger
Hell
Madea.
to the no.
Hey, listen. Run me the check.
He's a contract.
I would use a check for the revolution. Yes. if you run me Tyler Perry money and I got that kind of money for the revolution, I'll be Madea all day long.
Wow.
There can only be one Madea, and he does it beautifully. So I'm just gonna be like, nah, I'm good on
What's coming up in 4 minutes, man?
In about 4 minutes. Why do you have to say it like that, man? Damn.
Right.
So much pressure. We are covering the story. One of the stories that we're covering, or one of our main topics that we're talking about, is the missing YouTuber by the name of Gabby Petito. She went on a cross-country trip with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend came back home, sans her, and is refusing to
Heard
work
about that too.
with cops to investigate on why she is suddenly missing. So we are going to do a very deep dive into that story. So y'all got to hop over and talk about this with us, because it'll be a lot of fun after you do what you're doing over here on Like It or Not, of course.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Hey,
Listen.
Pascal.
Oh, here we go.
Damn. See, I feel like if I come on like really, really shortly, then he won't do nothing, and then he always catch me.
Here we go.
Now you may have already heard it, but we don't know yet. But I'm gonna tell it again anyway because it was a good one. What did they give Tickle Me Elmo before he left the factory?
Tickle Me Elmo.
Yep. What did they give him before he left the factory?
I'm trying to figure it out, like Sesame Street, Tickle Me Elmo. I have no
2 testicles.
Can I leave now?
Wait. 2 tests.
2 test. Tickle me Elmo, but
y'all know being short, it went over his head. So
Marcus, I tried to tell you, torment and torture. Pascal, what?
No, see, that did go over my head.
Right over
Tickle Me Elmo.
Because
you know,
I get the tickles. I get the tickles. It went over my head because when you talk about testicles, I'm thinking about Nicki Minaj.
Yeah. So there's somebody that said that's Nicki Minaj's friend's cousin. Yeah.
It's a joke for the time, but it's not a joke of the time.
Right.
It is a dad joke. And with that, Pascal, put that promo on the screen one more time. 10 o'clock Eastern time, the Pascal Show. It's happening any second now. And then this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, you have Left Flank Vets with our brother Marcus from Another Mother. Gentlemen, hey, thanks for hanging out with us, y'all.
By the way,
we appreciate y'all.
Hey, Marcus, don't go nowhere because my power grid might go out again.
Yeah, and I want to know what's over there. You petting a cat or something, my brother Marcus?
Oh yeah, well I'm trying to get him to get up in here because
furry bowl. So I'm just wondering what the furry bowl is.
I was wondering if that was a secret signal to the revolution.
Y'all see the cat up there
Right now.
Hey,
Right.
real quick.
Y'all are stupid.
Now they're like, I'm like, please, cat, come here, cat. Can you just not make me look like an idiot, please? And he's like, nah. I can't say it.
Hey,
He's
James,
telling me right now.
Take us to the after party.
I got a cat.
Take us to the after party, James. Pascal, we'll see you in a minute. And Marcus, don't go anywhere. But everybody, 10 o'clock Eastern, the Pascal Show, 2 p.m. Eastern. Left flank bets. James, it's in your hands. The after party is coming up next.
Welcome to the after party. It's about to go down. So welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother. My brother from another mother. I can get that crap. My brother from another. Ben and our brother from another mother. Marcus. All these tongue twisters today. God damn it.
Hey man, it has been a day. If there hasn't been a day that everything technology wise could go wrong, it has been today. Yesterday it was me with my microphone. Today it was it was our backup software with Georgia's microphone, and then the power grid. It's just everything that could. Before we get into these clips, we got a lot of great clips. David, I'll let you navigate, or James, whatever clips that you want to tee up. Marcus, I want to ask you, brother, where I know you served in the military, and I know that you are well studied on all these issues, but where are you from, man? Who are you and your peoples? Like, what is the root of you? I need to know who is with us on screen.
So I mean, I'm a son of immigrants, so my parents are Jamaican. And I know that they're probably enjoying a little bit of this Nicki Minaj mess. They can talk some shit on their Caribbean brothers and sisters.
Yes.
But
Trinidad came for her head, by the way.
Oh, they did. They're like, no, we ain't playing with this. We are not. But no, my dad, my parents came to the United States like late 70s. My dad ended up joining the Army to get his citizenship. I was born in, Fort Hood, Texas, with hopefully they change that name to Federal General pretty soon. Which, like, man, it was like when I figured out who General Hood was, and I was like, man, I've been saying this dude's name my whole life. This is like, oh, I was born, and it's like, but
also good morning to the Act TV audience who are watching.
Wait a minute! I thought it was after party. I was going to have
it is the after party, but we just want just let y'all know. Hey, we see y'all. We appreciate you, and we're excited about season 2. That said, go ahead and tell them about the motherfucker hood.
I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. So that's why I rep
Columbus.
Yeah, I rep the Buckeyes here and everything like that. But I mean, I'm kind of a mutt, and like going in the military, that set me all over. I saw about like 16, 17 different countries. Because like some of this stuff is just like, oh, we get a little bit of free time. We'll stop here, there, whatever. And opening up that just kind of really started to open my eyes and like questioning things, because like you assume, if you never leave the shores of the United States, you assume everywhere is how they perceive it on TV, right? It's depleted and for some reason the sky is yellow, but no, these places are beautiful with beautiful people. And that is kind of like the beginning of like, you start questioning things. And so, as I was leaving the military, that's when I was like, oh, I'm engaged in this. Bernie Sanders' campaign really inspired me to just get involved more in government. And so I started as really just an advocate, which is basically a broke lobbyist,
That's a fact.
So
we're out here advocating on behalf of the people, trying to make sure our lights don't cut off.
Yeah.
Blaming it on the power grid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, getting all suited and booted, meeting with, representatives, either state and federal level. And I kept going. Eventually I got like a staffer spot for a member of Congress.
That's right.
And that was really, I guess, what radicalized you. That's what radicalized me.
That's a great
being in government and feeling like there's still nothing that's going to be done in order to help people. That's that having that feeling like I couldn't shake it. And so, that's we found some other vets that kind of felt like I do ideologically, and then we kind of started this project to try and at least be a beacon for other veterans out there that aren't, these vet bro black rifle coffee drinking suckers.
Yeah, there is a whole bunch. We actually, there's a lot of guys who like to throw on their tight shirts and flex their guns and say like, hey, I'm a patriot because I got big muscles and big guns, and so maybe we should put some guns around you and you put on your tank top.
Exactly, that's what we do, right? Yeah,
funny. James, I want you to introduce whichever one of these clips that you brought to the table. But before you do that, Marcus says something I think it's a question that we should ask everybody. What radicalized you? At what point did you look at this system and realize that, man, we're stuck in the matrix and this is all like a big simulation of stupidity? Like what was a flashpoint in your life when you realized, man, we part of a hustle here?
Oh, that was me?
Yeah. I thought you were really reflecting and pondering. Yeah.
Oh shit. No, I was looking at
when did you get radicalized, James? I set up a beautiful I can't stand you, man.
Well, goddamn, I missed all of that.
I gave the one
clips and I was looking for the clips, so I'm trying to remember what I posted. I thought you was talking.
I tell you what, play the clip first, and when we come back, I want to ask you the question of what radicalized you. I see something in our private chat about a piano. So this next clip is about a piano. Right, David. Let's play the clip. What's this? All right. They did
all
not
that
see
say
that coming.
Exactly. Never judge a book by its cover.
Wow. She got her hair on fleek like Sha'Carri. Black sister. Cops would have pulled her over and beat her, as we saw in that clip with Rakia Young, but here she is just flexing on the piano. Wow.
But no problem. Flawless.
And she made sure that hair was flawless too. That thing is, I mean, she
everything is on point.
She on fleek all the way around the board.
She got the hair and pulled it to the side. I'm like, all right, let me play for y'all real quick. Okay.
I love it.
She's got black dude just drooled over a beautiful sister play the piano.
Yeah.
Right.
And you saw he was doing how he had the camera. Yeah. He was like, I said, his video is the one I want to see because he's going in and out. And he's zooming in, and he made sure his queen got some good representation. David, what you got next, man?
No, I was going to say, well, now that we've kind of reset the tone, James, what radicalized you?
That's the question. When did you realize this was all a game, man? This whole system was like rigged.
Probably when I was born.
Damn.
Hey,
to be black and to be right. What did James Baldwin said? The relatively conscious is to be radical.
Exactly. Mom and Daddy taught me early. I just realized and recognized everything growing up, being young, and just always knew it. But of course, it wasn't until after college and everything, getting back here, you started seeing, key one, Rodney King. That's when I knew the system wasn't shit. I was young still, but it was the first, let's be honest, it was the first recorded police brutality incident ever recorded. So I'm just like, yeah, some bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. I remember that. I was legit too when that happened. Marcus, were you even alive when Rodney King happened?
Yeah. No, I remember Rodney King. The thing with what was it? The OJ trial. So it was like being a kid on the periphery of like the OJ trial, and feeling like there needed to be some type of win in it for me, even as like a little black kid.
Yeah,
and not really getting it, you know, because there's no win, right? OJ's.
Even if he won, which he did in the trial, it wasn't a win for black folks.
Oh, exactly, right? Like OJ is not a win for black people by any stretch. And even putting it on, right? Even like trying to fucking wrap that whole situation. It shows to you how
all right, let's confess. Let's confess for the Act TV audience. I think my audience already knows the answer to this. How many of you cheered out of the 4 people on screen? David, you got to vote too, because
I'm about to stop the camera right now.
Let's be real.
Cheered for
when OJ's verdict came down. Man, my entire high school erupted. You would have thought Black Jesus himself came and set the hostages free at my school, man. And we left class. We exploded out of our classrooms into all of the foyer, all of the all the places, and we just cheered. And then later on, we realized, damn, OJ ain't even black.
You were in high school?
I was in high school when that happened. Yeah, I'm old, man.
That 6-year difference between us is a big difference at that point in time. Then, because I don't even. Damn. Yeah, no, I barely remember that time period, to be honest.
Oh,
what year was that?
It got to be like between 94 and 98.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Whew, man. This next group, you guys don't have to confess. I confessed enough. Y'all know.
I remember like supposed to be, it was like this thing. It was like, well, yeah, it's like, oh, well, black people are happy, so let's be happy. You know, like that was like all I could.
That's what it was.
Like,
that's what it was.
They're coming after black people. This one black dude got away with whatever he did, and black people are happy. You know, like this very just simple ass way of thinking about that.
Why do we feel so good about that man getting away with murder? Because in the moment,
the situation is so bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's part of it too. Is like the situation for so many black folks is so bad that you look to OJ, who was trying to separate himself from black people since he was scoring touchdowns in college. Like this is so it's all
we were
bad.
desperate. We were desperate for a win.
And you know, for me, it wasn't even about OJ. It was about Johnny Cochran winning that case.
That's okay. Now I feel better. I was pulling for OJ. I wasn't pulling for OJ.
I was pulling for Johnny Cochran.
I like
Johnny
that
Cochran.
I was pulling for Johnny Cochran. God bless him.
I was pulling for Johnny Cochran.
And you know who had the most salient response about that? What was the black man, Darden, the attorney that was prosecuting OJ? He came out in the aftermath of the George Zimmerman trial and said he understood the celebrations of black people over OJ Simpson because we were desperate for a win. And he said, but those celebrations were placed in the wrong in the wrong place. And that all of that energy that we had being happy about this win with OJ, that obviously, and we now know OJ didn't even want to be black, that energy had to be seized upon in this moment on behalf of Trayvon Martin. And I read that and I'm like, well, damn. I used to clown him. I used to call him everything but a child of God, but he had the most, like that point was so powerful. So anyway, what we got next, David?
We're going to take a hard turn here. James, do you want to introduce the Power Ranger clip?
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. So coming up next, we have a sister who used to always promise her 5-year-old brother, when he was 5 years old, used to always promise him a Power Rangers party so they could get him to do stuff, and they never did it. So what they did when he turned 21, they surprised him. So y'all take a look at this clip.
See me
you
My brother just turned 21 yesterday, and my sisters and I always used to promise him a Power Ranger party from the time he was little. We used to use it to bribe him and get him to like do stuff for us or like not snitch on us in exchange for this Power Ranger party. Y'all, we never threw him this Power Ranger party, but guess what? For that 21st birthday, we're throwing him a Power Ranger party. All right, y'all. So every year, my little brother knows that for his birthday, me and him always do something. We just hop in the car, he picks the destination, and we just go. But this year, he had absolutely no idea. I even got his cousins to come down from Boston. It took a 6-hour bus ride just to be here for this party. Everybody had their Power Ranger gear on, and it was go time. Now, it was a bit harder getting it together than expected, but just look at this reaction. So worth it.
Family. Yeah, I know this. I mean, say family. Sure. If I want to
I love
be
it.
a fern killer, me no believe in a fern killer. Family.
So to that 5-year-old boy that I kept promising a Power Ranger party, I guess I kept my promise.
Oh man.
Yeah, the video was. I'm about to say the video was off, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh man, but I could hear. Oh,
yeah.
Man. Look at that. Look at that.
That's dope as hell.
Black Boy Joy, man. That's beautiful. Shout out to that sister for doing that, because I know that probably touched them. I got nothing.
In the whole family, man. I would love that. Did y'all do the solar system rap yesterday?
We did.
But we can definitely do
But
it
we can
again.
play it again, and I actually found out who he is, and we've got his name is Keats. He actually is a model. I think he's a filmmaker.
Oh, that's why his
He's
hair
a
is on
rapper.
point so
I think
much.
he's a
Okay.
comedian.
Yeah.
So he's just all around talented. There's actually a series of videos he does on COVID. If the planets were to have like a meeting, like I think it's like an 8-part series of meetings. So I think every after party we're gonna have to do like one of them to go through because they're all hilarious.
All right.
I've got a couple. I've got a
he's
few
funny
clips
as
of
hell.
it now. I'm gonna play the solar system one after James plays some music ending the after party, but I'm going to play the new stuff right now.
All right, what do we got now?
Yes.
So first, here's a rap if the disciples rapped.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
This sounds exciting. Let's see what it says.
It is.
Hey, yo, where Jesus at? He said he was healing people from like 2 to 4, and then we got that big dinner, but we got time. All right, bet, run that. Hey, we blessed by Jesus on this side. We got this joint from the future. Hey, we on that AD wave right now. This that AD wave. Shout out Bethlehem, Palestine, Egypt, Jerusalem. All y'all, all that in the Lord's Prayer. Let's go. Hey. Straight from the Bible, your boy a disciple. Messiah gon' touch you, we don't need a rifle. We dripping in linen, you thought it was brighter. We potting the waves and dropping on title. Walking the town and they washing our feet. We breaking bread, all my niggas they eat. Lucifer can't touch your boy with that heat. Look in the book and you know we preach. Disciple the gang, we moving with 12. Wine out of water, straight from the well. Rep heaven, don't fuck with hell. Walk miles in with sandals. Walk on water, it repels. Shoot that fade, don't need no shells. Then Romans, they move like op. Fuck with Jesus, they get mocked. I walk and I spread that word. All them heathens, they get curved. Flock of sheep, we selling furs. We run up inside your church. Need collection, snatch your purse. Got them bells, we flipping birds. Bro, it's like 3 o'clock. Wasn't you supposed to go betray Jesus or something? Oh, that's today.
Oh, shit. Wait, when I tell you he goes ham, like he has an anime rap that he did, and it's just like,
Shout
bro,
out
you
to
can't
this
be this
brother.
good. Yeah, man. Dope as hell.
That is
So you can find him on Instagram and Twitter at Keats Did It. It's K like Kilo EATS Did It.
Did it.
And
he's also on TikTok with the same exact handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just realizing that the logo up there is TikTok. This is actually came from Twitter. But he doesn't just rap. So here's 2 others.
And the
Actually,
modeling
what-
explains the modeling explains why his hair in the other clip was looked like Vidal Sassoon commercial. I'm just joking.
And he knows it because there's a clip where he was about to go streaming and he just put up like a real short clip with him like throwing around the hair.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's run the next one. It's in your heads.
Hey, so I have some news. Son, what are you doing? Back up. It is too hot. It's August. You know how orbit works. I'm just closer. I mean, I don't mind. Okay, y'all are nasty. And you got me out here perspirating in this hoodie. Hey, yo, Venus, chill. You know, I'm gonna fuck with you. Oh, Nat, baby. You know I appreciate you. But I ain't finna get all musty because the sun wanna be all up on me. It is August. Well, I was gonna tell you I got us t-shirt. So if you wanna go change, here. Thank you. Yo, what's going on? I thought he was good. He said something about Delta V, Delta something. You know what? Maybe he was on a flight and he signed up for one of those Delta credit cards and he didn't get approved. So now he's mad. That is not the cough of financial hardship. Hey, but real talk, you don't man got a point. I grew up with diamonds. I ain't never been sick. Earth has diamonds. No, but it rained diamonds over here, cuz. What he rain? Walter? Nah, I'm looking it up right now. It's called the Delta variant. Delta variant. Yes, see? I told you. Pluto, it's a virus, not a credit card. Oh, who got a credit card? Nobody. Earth applied, but he didn't get it. Oh, so that's why he been looking like that. I tried to get one of them JetBlue cards, but then they started talking about annual fee. Girl, bye. You're not helping.
Oh my lord! Oh my lord!
Hey, he's low key dropping some. He's dropping some hints in there about what he really think. Marcus, this dude is wild. What you think, man?
I mean, I need to get on TikTok. I'm a boomer, right? Well, I love it. I absolutely just am like, because and as he was doing the rap, and you're telling us like I want to live in the world where people get to do what they're passionate about.
Yeah,
because allowing people to do this. Like this is uplifting to me. And I know like we're watching it because we enjoy it. Like I want to live in the world where all the people who are this funny, this talented, get to just show their talent. And like I gotta get on this, brothers.
Versus having to deliver packages for FedEx and Amazon. You know what I mean? Spending all day having to do that. Yeah. I feel it. I rock with that, man. Whew. What else we got, David?
The virus, not a
The virus.
Wrong button. Whoops.
Not the virus. We don't have the virus.
Right. The virus. Oh, okay.
That's largely it for today because I don't have the other clips from him yet. But we do have the solar system app, and then James can play the outcome.
We are at the end. Go ahead, as a dude with the most hair on the stream, like I'm also just impressed because he's doing all these different characters and he does different stuff with his hair,
right? With his hair, yes.
That's a whole lot of coordination in that, right? That's like he's got a clarity of mind as he's going into the project, and the hair tells it all.
I was looking at his clips and I'm like, he must have he plans it all out.
Yeah.
Like he's got storyboards and everything.
Yes, has to, or he's just like Jay-Z.
Well, I would offer to you that there's a possibility that he could just be freestyling all this too. I say we get him on the show and see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Either way, it's absolutely brilliant. Either way,
yeah,
it is brilliant. And I'm with you, Marcus. I want to live in a world where people can do this all day versus going to make Jeff Bezos rich. But I digress. Marcus of Left Flanks, 2:00. Thank you for spending so much time with us, brother. I appreciate you being here, especially because that power grid surprised me this morning. Tell everyone how they can follow you and support you.
So yeah, we know that the technical issues hit CIA, FBI, deep state. They don't want us.
They don't want it. They don't want us
to the truth. No. So twitch.tv/leftflankvets. You can also find her on Twitter, Left Flank Vets. But 2 p.m. Eastern time to about 6, and then also from 8 p.m. Eastern time to 11. During the afternoons, we try and focus on what I call it Capitol Hill. The structures of power, specifically as the United States. But then we get into the other news stories and make it a little bit more fun and jokey in the evening time. So please follow, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. Appreciate it.
It's a great show. I am a subscriber on Twitch, and I suggest that you all do the same. DJ exclusive, man, it is your world. You get the last word, or you could just drop a beat. We're going to get out of here and see everybody tomorrow. Thank you to everyone in the background. David, as always, man. David is the hardest working man in the business. That's all I'm going to say on air.
Shout out, David. I appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you for putting in the work on behalf of your ancestors.
All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all coming back in. We're going to close out with the solar rap. Solar rap. Let's get it.
Probably heard that Saturn got a huge shout out from NASA. So to celebrate, we're going to rap on one of his beats. Now, everyone must participate, and we're going to go in solar system order. Hey, I can spit some? Yeah, just go after Nep and before Pluto. Say less. Saturn, take it away.
Shout out to the teardrop that he puts on his eye.
I know.
I'm the son and I'm the leader. I really run the show, so I'm that guy like Peter. Giving Pluto smoke, no, I am that heater, and I always got the time like a curbside meter. Retrograde, I'll spin the block real quick. I'll mess up that new car and that new side chick. On my queen-like tip, know your son like this. I don't need no gravity, cause I got G's on deck. Yo, it's V, you know I'm 900 degrees. I'm a real hot girl, got some Meg-type knees. Got them boys shook, cause I infertility. Anybody touch a nip, they gon' have to see me. Young Earth, population 7 billion. Climate change bars got my whole zone litty. It's a meltdown, we should really get busy. I got polar bears hot when they need to be chilly. Yo, it's Mars, I'm the planet over war. Got like 5 rovers, it's an MTV tour. Giving Earth rocks, he been feeling like the 80s. When Elon come through, tell him bring me all the ladies. Big Jew, got the gas on deck. Second biggest in the room, don't know how to slight flex. Looking at my body, yo, it's like a news set. Saturn give him 6 ring, and it's on to the next. Okay, call me anything but Uranus. I got ice all on my body, ain't seen my jeweler in ages. I spin different, not like a microwavable plate. His son had to drop a bag in order for me to say this. Neptune, rain diamonds on my surface. I'ma quit with the drip, I ain't never had to purchase. Hair laid down, all the braids look perfect. Got Venus on my hips, so I had to cop the Birkin. Hey, yo's Percy got the deals on deck. No, I keep my lemon pepper with the blue cheese wet. I'm a space hitman, I'ma get that check. And when that done with Venus, I'ma hit that next. Yo, it's Pluto and I'm purple like a nurple. And I'm highly underrated, I'm the planetary Urkel. And my orbit make me dizzy, I go up and down in circles. And the sun is always coming for my neck, I'm like a turtle. He's abusive with the verbal, under his skin like a dermal. Like,
hey, I wasn't done. You were done. No, you were absolutely done.
We'll see y'all tomorrow, everybody. Thanks,
that cat right there, man.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all so much for coming. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. Gonna have a great show. Our sister Rebecca will be back tomorrow, y'all. So make sure that you stay tuned, and thank y'all so much. Affirmation for the day. Affirmation for today is: I let go of bad memories and build up new ones. I let go of bad memories and build up new ones. Y'all have a blessed day, man. We love y'all. We mean it. We will see y'all tomorrow. Deuces.
Yeah. Come a little bit closer. Yeah. You're a little bit crazy. It's been days, but you never change. What's love got to do with it? He comes around, better knock that stuff down. Come a little bit closer. Yeah. Come a little bit closer. Yeah. So all my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm